Britain was becoming a modern state. Commerce and capitalism were accelerating rapidly, leaving the old order behind. Highwaymen have been said to symbolise this process as upwardly mobile, ruthless and heavily profit-oriented. Highwaymen stole because they wanted the money to support their lifestyle and didn't want to work for it. But there was still a sense that there were good and bad thieves in England. Criminality had its own hierarchy, and right at the top were highwaymen. Many even considered themselves gentlemen. None more so than James Macleane. He was the son of a wealthy Scottish clergyman with connections, not quite a gentleman, but not far off. He was raised to become a merchant, but early on it was clear that he had a better eye for fine clothes than business. Macleane was also a hopeless gambler and frittered away a considerable inheritance. Eternally on the scrounge, he then moved to London to find himself a rich wife. He quickly married a tradesman's daughter and used her £500 dowry to set up a grocer's shop. For a while, it looked like he'd turned his life around. When his wife died, it quickly became clear that she had been the one running the business. Macleane was clueless, so he sold up and packed his kids off to their grandparents. With his remaining funds, he then bought expensive clothes and began to mingle in high society in an attempt to bag himself a wealthy wife. But he had no luck, and soon the money ran out. Macleane had become desperate when he met a man named William Plunkett. Now, he was an apothecary and a fellow bankrupt, and he suggested that they start up a new business together, setting up shop as highwaymen. Plunkett recognised that Macleane's gentlemanly pretensions might actually come in handy. Expressing sympathy for his plight, Plunkett urged Macleane to join him on the roads. "I thought, Macleane, thou hadst spirit and resolution, with some knowledge of the world. A brave man cannot want, he has a right to live, and need not want the conveniences of life, while the dull, plodding, busy knaves carry cash in their pockets. We must draw upon them to supply our wants. There need only impudence, and getting the better of a few silly scruples. There's scarce courage necessary." Their ruse was simple but effective. While Macleane mingled with the great and the good, Plunkett posed as his footman, which gave him access below stairs where he could get information from the staff. And so, with Macleane listening upstairs and Plunkett downstairs, loose lips would provide juicy targets. Macleane, though, was a bit of a coward. During a hold-up, Plunkett sent him to stop the driver of a coach while he searched the passengers, but Macleane's courage failed him. Trembling with fear, he tried several times, but just couldn't do it, and Plunkett had to step in. But eventually Macleane got the hang of it, until one incident made them the talk of the town. In Hyde Park, they held up the coach of Horace Walpole, the Prime Minister's son and Gothic novelist, who soon found himself in a horror story of his own. The ever-nervous Macleane was collecting the passengers' valuables when his gun went off by accident, nearly blowing off Walpole's head and severely scorching the shocked man's cheek. After profuse apologies, Macleane gathered the goods and they scarpered. True to his gentlemanly credentials, a mortified Macleane wrote to Walpole the next day to apologise and to try and sell him his own belongings back. Macleane became known as the gentleman highwayman, and by reputation he was courteous to a fault. Finally, he got to live as he'd always seen himself, a high flyer, mixing with the very best people in society. And then, inevitably, it all went wrong. The blundering duo robbed the Salisbury stagecoach, relieving Lord Eglinton of his purse and blunderbuss, and a wealthy passenger named Josiah Higden of his clothes and expensive fabrics. Macleane then tried to sell some of the stolen goods. Firstly, he went to a lace maker with some of Josiah Higden's golden lace, but unluckily for him, it was exactly the same lace maker who had just sold it to Higden. After narrowly escaping that encounter, Macleane was arrested. Higden recognised his stolen property in the local shop where Macleane had eventually sold it, and, unbelievably, had left his name and address. He'd been caught red-handed. Plunkett fled, never to be seen again. Macleane was sent to jail, where he became a celebrity inmate. 3,000 people paid his jailers to visit him, including several of the aristocratic circle he had been so desperate to court. Being unable to tell a common criminal apart from a gentleman posed a threat to the social order, and Macleane's story was used as a dire warning. But status was important to criminals. Whilst in jail, Macleane apparently wrote a treatise, published after his death, that attempted to distinguish the types of crime he committed from those of other mere criminals.
Ladies and gentlemen! I am the gentleman highwayman! The most wanted man in England!
This is part of the entertainment.
Bloody realistic, isn't it?
Few highwaymen able to rob and go as they please. What the hell is going on?
I was fabulous, and it was a bloody good laugh. Look!
Jesus Christ.